Hey, welcome to another episode of Cutter One. I am your host, Jay, just Jay, your resident troublemaker and your resident culture warrior. I hope you are all having a beautiful weekend. Um, it's all right. It's nice and sunny where I'm at and stuff like that. I mean, it's a little bit on the chilly side, but it is January. You know, that's to be expected here in my part of the world. I hope wherever you are that you are enjoying it and having great weather and having a awesome weekend. Anyway, I just I know I just let those videos go out yesterday, so I wanted to post some stuff today to start off the new week or to end the previous week, depending on how you look at it. But you know, it is Sunday, so we will go over some things. The first, though, is I wanted to talk about this story that some of you may have heard, you may not have heard, but it's actually like some good news for Tolkien fans and for fans of the franchise. So let's get right into it. And it turns out that we are getting our most awesome and favoritist Shield Maiden back. That's right, Miranda Otto to reprise her role as Eowyn in The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim. The War of the Rohirrim is set 183 years before the events of the film Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. So let's read the article. So it says Miranda Otto is best known for playing the Shield Maiden of Rohan Eowyn in Peter Jackson's epic fantasy films, The Lord of the Rings trilogy. Introduced in the second film, The Two Towers, she last appeared as Eowyn in the last film in the trilogy titled Return of the King, which was released in 2003. According to reports, Otto is all set to return as Eowyn in the upcoming animated film, The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim, based on J.R.R. Tolkien's epic fantasy novels. Made in the style of Japanese anime, The War of the Rohirrim is set 183 years before the events of the film Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. The film is directed by Kenji Kamiyama, who is best known for directing the series Ghost in the Shell Solid State Society. Phoebe Gittins and Artie Papageorgiou, sorry if I butchered that, have written the screenplay for the film. Miranda Otto will be lending her voice to the animated character who will be narrating the story that happened almost 2 centuries ago. The cast of the series also includes Succession actor Brian Cox, along with Gaia Weiss, Luke Pasqualino, Lawrence Ubong Williams, and Sean Dooley. The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim is currently scheduled to release on April 12th of 2024. All right, so it's a little bit more than a year away. So, I mean, first of all, how awesome is that, right? That we're getting new Lord of the Rings, new Tolkien content, right? Now, it's an animated series, okay? It's animated, and of course, you know, there's always just like, man, it'd be great if they did it live action. But you know, if it for me, the important thing is if it's good, right? So if it's good, then I'm cool with it, right? Is it, you know, as long as it's good, as long as they stick to the lore, as long as they don't Rings of Power it, if you know what I mean, then I'm gonna be totally fine with it. Now, as far as being in an anime style, that's interesting because I've seen. Okay, I'm not a big anime guy. I have my brother. I have a brother who's huge anime guy, like you know, into like things like Inuyasha and stuff like that. Right? I mean, never my cup of tea, but you know that was his thing, and that's cool. So I've been around it. I've seen enough anime that I know there's some anime styles which I think would work really good um, within a Tolkien context, telling a Tolkien based story. And there's other anime styles where I'm like, not so much. You know, kind of goofy for my taste, but that's just my taste, right? So it'll be interesting now. Because of that, I sort of was looking more into this War of the Rohirrim. I had heard, you know, rumors about it and stuff like that, but I sort of was like, well, until we get more information, I'm really not going to bother talking about this because you know when I got really invested in Rings of Power, that came back and bit me in the ass, right? So, but I did do a little looking, and this is from the IMDb page. So there you see it's the Lord of the Rings, the War of the Rohirrim. They've got some concept art up, which looks interesting. I'll mention the concept art that they have going on here. So they've got some very interesting concept art, as you see, right? I like the aesthetic that they're going with. Okay, it's very much in line with Tolkien's films, right? I mean, with Peter Jackson's films. I'm sorry, with Peter Jackson's films, but it has that very Tolkien overtone, if you know what I mean, in the visuals. So this is some of the concept art that they've put out on their IMDb page so far. Now, if you're saying, "Man, this looks like the Peter Jackson stuff," that's because it is. Because I did in doing some research, I did find that this is being put out by Warner Brothers Pictures, right? So this isn't just some independent production company that nobody's ever heard of, and so this is being put out by Warner Brothers. And they have specifically said this does, in fact, tie into Peter Jackson's films. They are making the direct connection. Whereas, okay, and I'm just saying this again, not because everything's about Rings of Power, but whereas Rings of Power has tried to, on the one hand, distance themselves from Peter Jackson's films, saying no, 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 we're not a prequel to his movies. We're wholly independent from his films. That's completely different. But then at the same time, they try to steal certain aspects of the aesthetic or the look of certain things or lines of dialogue or certain scenes are constructed in ways that are meant to be a throwback to Peter Jackson's films, right? So on the one hand, they say, no, 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 we're not connected in any way. And then at the same time, they do things that let you know, like, yeah, you were taking a lot of your inspiration from his films, right? With War of the Rohirrim, they're actually saying, like, yes, no, we are in the same universe. We are definitely tied to the Peter Jackson films. Like, we are linked. Okay, linked. Okay, because English, I can do it. So that's a good sign, because they're not saying, we're wholly independent. Don't link us with these things. They're actually saying, yes, we are part of this. Okay, we are the prequel to the Peter Jackson films, at least in terms of the story of Rohan. Okay, so for those who may not know, it takes place. It tells the story of Helm Hammerhand, and his war with the Dunlendings, which is probably what you see here in some of this concept art, where they've also brought in, it looks like they've got Oliphants from the Haradrim, and I know the Easterlings are involved in these fights as well. Okay, um, but yeah, there you see the, the Great Hall, and yeah, it definitely has that Peter Jackson film aesthetic to it. And again, like they've said, yes, we are the prequel to that. We are definitely tied in with the Peter Jackson films. So that's another good sign. But for me, the most awesome of awesome was finding out that Miranda Otto signed on to voice Eowyn, who obviously is going to be telling this story. She's going to be telling the tale of the War of the Rohirrim and Helm Hammerhand, much in the same way as like Galadriel narrates the beginning of the Peter Jackson films. I think it's kind of cool that they're going to have Miranda Otto as Eowyn narrate this film as well. So I'm looking forward to it, and I thought you guys, if you hadn't heard the information or didn't know about this, you might be interested. Some positive news for us Tolkien fans to start the week or end the week on, depending on how you view it. So yeah, so we're getting our Shield Maiden back. Eowyn will make a triumphant return in a little over a year. We will get to see the lovely Miranda Otto as Eowyn, or at least hear her as Eowyn, telling us the story of Helm Hammerhand and the War of the Rohirrim. So I hope you guys are looking forward to it as much as I am. If they do it right, and it sounds like they are doing it right, it sounds like they are very much sticking to the source material on this. We us Tolkien fans could actually get something that's good and not a slap in our proverbial faces, so to speak. So let's keep our fingers crossed. So far, it's looking good. Good news coming out of these guys, and I'll say it here. I want this to be like totally awesome. I want them to knock it out the park with this. because that'll just show that, you don't need, it's not about the money, it's not about the finding some magical mystical unicorn like modern audience. It's just about telling a good story. It's about telling a good story and doing it in a interesting and creative way, but that adheres to the story, that puts the story first. And if they can do that, it'll just be such a juxtaposition against what Amazon's done, right? So you could spend $1 billion in it, but if you crap on the story and you make the story secondary, your $1 billion isn't going to buy you any fans. But anyway, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Had you heard about the War of the Rohirrim? Are you looking forward to the War of the Rohirrim? What's your take on the anime style? Like I said, I've seen some anime styles which I think would work really well for something like this based on the concept art that we just looked at. And some anime styles which I'm like, I hope it's not that. Let me know what you think down in below. Again, yeah, that's all I got for right now. I just wanted to have a positive story so that, not always bitching and moaning and complaining, right? Anyway, if you like the video, like the video. If you feel like sharing the video, by all means do so. It helps get the word out. If you have not subscribed, I would hope that you would consider subscribing, and welcome to you new subscribers. I saw you guys yesterday, and I think there's like 25 of you guys that signed up for the party yesterday, so thank you very much. If you are a returning subscriber, you are a beautiful badass, and you know this. All right. So, yeah. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. I look forward to some good conversation on this one. Until then, I will see you in the next one. Be good, be safe, be awesome. Peace.